Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys a lot for subscribing to my channel, following me on Facebook and on Instagram. I appreciate you all. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew two types of corset loops. For a long time now, I've been getting this request from most of my subscribers, so I decided to make the video. It's really simple and easy, and I'm going to make it as simple and as easy. And then I'll show you two types, like I said. So I have my basic and bodice here. This is what I'm going to use to do the loop. So to do it, the first thing I'm going to do now, for creating out this one, for the picture that you have there, the one that has the keyhole and at the back, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches here, like this. So from this and 3.5 inches, that's for your regular and neckline, and then I'll mark 1.5 inches depth, and then I'm going to curve it out. So you can decide to make use of 2 inches, depends on what you want. So I'll curve it out like this. So this is my regular and neckline. So from this point, I'm going to create out the keyhole. I'm going to measure 1 inch like this. This is 1 inch. And then I'm going to come to the down part. That's the yoke part. I'm using 8 inches for my yoke. I'm going to come to the down part. I'll measure 3.5 inches. So for this, I forgot to say, for this, I already eliminated my zipper allowance. So I'm not adding zipper allowance to it, because if I add zipper allowance to it, at the end of the day, it might be too wide. You understand? So that's why I'm not adding. Since I'm going to be looping it, I've already eliminated the zipper allowance. So from this point, I've marked out the 3.5 inches and then 1 inch here. So I'm going to create a beautiful curve to my yoke line. So when I'm transferring to my fabric, I'll add my allowance. So I've created out my keyhole for on the back. And then the next thing I'm going to do, like I said, because I'm reducing my dart line, I don't want to use the 4 inches of my dart line because I don't want it to be too wide. I'm going to use 3.5 inches just to get something really cute. So I'm going to mark 3.5 inches from this point, which I'm using as my dart line. That's what I'm going to eliminate before creating my loop. So I'm going to create, I'm going to join this line like this to this point now. So I'm going to cut out now. So I'll cut this out first. So here's how the back is going to look like. And then I'm going to eliminate this part now. So at the end of the day, here's what we're going to have. So this is how you do the first one. So I'm going to cut this out and show you. I'm going to transfer it to my fabric. Before then, I'm going to do the second one, which we're going to be using the tube pattern to do. Okay, the next one I'm going to do now. So you can see the picture up here. So this is like the regular ones where we're going to be making use of tube pattern. So I'm going to cut out the yoke now. I'm going to eliminate this part, which is my yoke. So if you are adding a tool, you can decide to use this as your tool. So from this part now, for this kind of loop, all you are going to do, like I told you initially, if you don't want it to be too wide, you can decide to just cut it out from your 4 inches of which is your regular and dart line and point. You can decide to use 4 inches to cut out. This is 4 inches line. You know, initially I said I used 3.5. I just use it for this and bodice. So, but if you know you don't want the back loops, if you know you don't want it to be too wide, you can decide to reduce it. You can decide to make use of 3.5. So, like me, I'm going to make use of 3.5 for this pattern. And so I'm just going to extend this 3.5 inches line. I'm going to extend it up like this. And then I'm going to cut out. So, and then create my loops on this part. But if you know you don't want a straight back line, that's back loop. If you know you want it slanted, you know there are various pictures. You see some that are so slanted. Here's what you are going to do. You can decide to start from this top point and use your 3.5 inches on top. As you are coming down, you are going to be reducing it a little bit. You understand? When you come to your waistline point like this, you can decide to reduce to 3 inches. And then when you come to the hem line, you can even decide to reduce as much as 2.5 inches. So here's what you are going to have at the end of the day. It's going to be like this. So you are going to have a slimmer and down part. I'm going to mark it out and then I'll show you how it's going to look like. So here's what it's going to look like. So I'm going to cut it out, and then I'll still show you the other one, how the other one is going to look like. Here's what we have. So in case you want to do the straight one, all you are going to do, this your allowance, that's this down part, you're just going to tuck this point in, and then you are going to use the straight 4 inches or the 3 inches mark. So I'm just going to use this to show you. So if you want the slanted one, here's what you are going to have at the end of the day. The back is going to be like this, it's going to be V. But if you don't want it, you are going to hide this part. You're going to hide this part in like this. So once you hide it like this, you have like what we have on the picture. That's what you are going to have. You're going to have a straight square and back and loops. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So now you can decide to sew any one of your choice. Okay, I'm going to transfer to my fabric now. So in order for me to transfer to my fabric, the one with the keyhole, I'm going to cut out from along this yoke line, because if you don't cut it out, you won't be able to sew it and then place it. So I'm going to cut it out like this from this point. So when I'm transferring, so this is my yoke, this is the down part, so this is the loop part, and then this is my yoke. So for the yoke, I'm going to use a different fabric. So to cut it, I'm going to cut it out with this fabric, and then this one I'm going to cut out with this, and then this is the other one, the tube one, I'm going to cut out. I'm going to place on my fabric also, and then cut out their lining. I finished cutting out on my fabric. So like I said, I'm going to use this blue fabric for the yoke. So this is the down part, this is the one with the keyhole at the back, and then this is the tube one. So I cut out the lining also, I cut them together. So we're going to move over to our machine now and then start stitching. I'm going to sew and turn. You see, here's how it's going to look like. So I'll keep the side, I'll just keep the body. Here's how it's going to look like. So in stitching this, you can decide to do it in various ways. You can decide to stitch the neckline and then join them together. Stitch like this and then stitch like this, because it's supposed to be 1-1. So you're going to stitch like this and then you stitch like this. You understand? You're going to close the neckline here and then close the side, and then we're going to do the same thing to this one also. And you see what we have? You see the back piece. So I'll go and iron it. I'm just trying to bring it out so you see it properly. You see what we're going to have. So I'm going to keep this on the side, and then I'll sew the down part. Okay, so I'm trying to create the loops that I'm going to use. That I'm going to use on this parts of my corset for the back and body. So here's what I did. I just took you just cut out long and strap of fabric. So this what I have here that I'm using for this is about 1.5 inches. It's about 1.5 inches. So I'm just trying to stitch it together. So I'm stitching, just fold them in and then give it a good and clean and stitch. Okay, so I finished making this. So for this you don't really need any particular measurement, because what you need is just that width that I told you, and then you are going to measure. You are going to check how wide you actually want the loops that you are going the loops that you are going to create is going to be. So I'm just trying to eyeball it here first before I cut out, and then I'll measure what I have to see how many inches it is. So I know it is about so what I have here is about 3 inches. So I'm going to cut out 3 inches of loop. Before then, the remaining part of my bodice after removing my yoke is 10 inches. So this 10 inches point here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create 2 inches points. It depends on how much loops you want to have. Depends on how much loops you want to have on your corset. So that is what will determine how you are going to measure this. So for this, I'm going to use 2 inches. You can use 2.5, not 2.5. You can use 2.5. You can use as much as 3 inches. So it depends on what you want. So remember, I'm using 1/4 inch from this top part that I'll use to join to my 1/4 inch that I'll use to join to my yoke. So I'm making 2 inches here, 2 inches, 4 is 6, 8, and then the last one is going to be 10 inches. So I have my lining already, so I'm going to show you how to do this now. Before you start, you're going to determine where, for both of them, you're going to mark on this side and on this side also. Make sure that they are on the same position, so your corset will not be looking funny. So I'm going to cut out 5 strap for this, and then 5 strap for this now, of 3 inches. Okay, so now I'm done. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out my lining. I'm just going to take out the lining and then attach them on the fabric. That is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it. I'll take it like this. I'm just going to place it under like this, and then I'll run a stitch. So I'm going to start stitching them now. So here is what, if you are going to be turning with lining, here's what you are going to do. In the way you are going to add the loops, you are going to take each one like this, and then you are going to place it inside. So you see what I'm doing? You place it inside like this, and then you place your lining. You place it, you see it's facing in, and then this at the open end is facing this side, and then you place your lining like this, and then you are going to start stitching. Remember, we'll put marks on where we are going to be stitching the loops. So you are going to stitch, and then when you get to the next point, you are going to take this also. You take the next one also, you face it, let it face inwards. You place it like this, and then you continue stitching your lining. I'm going to open it up now. Let's see what we have. At the end of the day, here's what we are going to have. You see all of my loops. So if you want to have another loop on top here, you can decide to add. I think I should add another one up here. I'm going to add one more up here. Or if you don't want, you can decide to leave it like that. It will still, I think I should leave it. I'm going to do the same thing to this part now. Okay, you can see what we have now. So the back, this corset back is looking so beautiful. It's coming out like what we have on the picture. Here is what I'm going to do now. The only thing that is remaining now is just for me to join my yoke to this part. So you are going to join it like this. You are just going to take this part like this, and then you stitch. You stitch. If you want to do an inseam finish, you can decide to turn it in this way and then stitch it in. So I'm going to join this, and then I'll join this part also, and then we're done for this. Then I'm going to start the other one. So let me just quickly do that now. Okay, so you see I finished joining the yoke to it. I'm going to take this now and keep on the side. So when we're finished, we'll come and do the lacing. I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to start working on this one, and the one with the tube and pattern. We're going to go over and the same process of attaching these loops to this side. So this is the tube and corset. So I finished stitching the loop just the way we did with the first one with the keyhole. So I followed the same process to stitch this. So in creating for this, you can decide to leave it this way, but if you don't want to leave it this way and you want to create a board that will cover it, here is what you are going to do. You are going to take another fabric. So I've already cut mine out. I'm going to just explain to you how it is done. You are going to take another fabric, and then here the measurement that you are going to use to create it out. The measurement you are going to use for this part, because you are going to be attaching it on one part, and then the other side is just going to be like that. You're going to create how many inches apart. That's before you stitch. You're going to use the top part. You can decide to make it a little bit longer, or you just make it exact size, just like what I have here. And then here I'm going to use about 2 inches before I start attaching it. I'm going to use 2 inches. I'm going to tell you the full measurement once I'm done. You are going to take 2 inches like this from this point, and then you are going to use a top stitch to stitch it in. But if you don't want to use a top stitch, you can decide to put it inside before creating the loops and then stitching it, but that will give me a little bit of headache for now, so I don't want to do that. I just want to make it as simple as easy for you, even for beginners, for them to be able to grab this. So I'm just going to use a clean stitch to stitch on this point, and then for the other side you are going to determine how wide you want it to be. So basically what you really need is just for it to pass the other part of the back. That's the second part, just for it to pass a little bit. Maybe you can decide to take it to the end. There are some corsets that you will allow the fabric, that's the board fabric, to get to this and to your seam allowance and part of that's on this to get to your side seam. I beg your pardon. To get to your side seam, you can decide to just run it to your side seam, but this side you are not going to be stitching it. It's just going to stay like this. Or you can decide to add just a couple of inches, maybe about 4 inches or 3 inches. So it depends on how balanced your back will be. You can decide to do that. So for this I used about 4 inches and balance, so it did not get to the side and seam. So that's what you are going to do. At the end of the day, the width that I used for everything is about 14 inches. That's what I used from the back part. So you know this one is coming like this. The down part is a little bit slimmer than why the top part is wide, the down part is slim. So here is how it's going to be at the end of the day. So you are going to sew and then turn. So that's that. I'm just going to stitch and sew my loop now. So I'm trying to stitch. So you can decide to stitch as long as you want, or you can decide to buy already made ropes. They sell them also in tailor accessory shop. You can decide to buy them. Those ones, they look like shawl and lace. You can decide to buy them and use them, or you can decide to use your fabrics. So you are just going to, I'm going to use about let me just measure it. Let me measure so you have an idea. So I am going to use about 2 yards. That's 36 plus 36, about 2 yards. Yeah, that's what I have here. I have about 2 yards. So I'm going to create one for this corset and then one for the other one. So once I'm done, okay, let's just continue. Let me stitch this so you see what I mean. So I'm just going to place it like this at 2 inches apart, and then I'm going to give it a clean and stitch on top just to secure it to this part. You can choose whichever part you want to secure it to. You can choose that. You can actually choose that. Just give it a clean stitch with a matching and thread. So at the end of the day, here's what we are going to have. You see what we have. You see this part like this. It's going to stay like this, and then this other part is the part we are going to connect. So when you are connecting, you are going to leave this. When you are joining this one with your front and piece. So I've secured it. So you see the loops, they are standing, and then this one is going to be on this side like this. We use the dart line, which is 3.5 inches. So that's how you will know where the width is going to be. If not, you are going to run into problems. Your bust line will not be the same. That's because you just need to measure. You understand? So you're going to remember how many inches you are using. If you are using your dart measurement, that's in the opening. If you are using the dart measurement, or you are using the neckline measurement to open, you remember we slanted the back of our corset, we slanted it downwards. So for the down part, I'm going to measure to make sure that I have my measurement. Okay, I'm still safe for the down part, and then the top part you measure to make sure that you still have your bust measurement. So you see, I'm trying to arrange it properly. Here's what we have. So this is my bust measurement. So I still have my allowance on the side. So this part, now you don't need to secure it. This part is the part that you are going to stitch to the front you're going to stitch it to the front bodice. Why this one is just going to be like this, it's just going to dangle inside. So I'm going to round up with my stitching my rope, and then come back and show you the final look on the table. So guys, so you could see I finished and sewing everything. So this is the one with the keyhole, and then this is the tube one. So for this tube one, you can add a yoke to it. If you want to add a yoke, you just follow, you know, the process of adding your regular yoke. So for the corset and board, so you could see how it is looking. So it's just going to be inside. You iron interfacing on it to make it hard. So this was what I was saying. You can decide to stop it here, so it will just cover. So or you can decide to let it get to the end. So it depends on what you want. So I'm done with the lacing. I'm going to teach you how to lace now with this one. So this one with the keyhole, at the end of the day, you're going to just going to put a little button here. That's all. And then for the lace, you're just going to lace it just at the same regular way you lace and your shoe. So once you put it first, you're going to make sure you pull it. You pull it, let it be equal before you continue. So the distance, you are going to determine the distance, how much width you want for the back. So like I was saying, if you want to add a board on this one also, you can decide to do that. So you are going to take it. So after placing it on this is the first one, like this. You're going to take this, and then I'm going to pass it on to this second loop here. I'm going to pass it to this second loop, and then I'll take this, I'll bring it to this part. So that's how I'll just keep going crisscrossing until I get to the end. So I'm done. I'm going to tie it now. So you can do the lacing. You can lace it however you actually want to your own and desired choice. That's what you are going to have, and then here's what we have for this. So this is the one with the keyhole. So you just attach to the front part of your corset, and then this also you attach to the front part of your corset. Okay, so you see this is the final look of our corset. All you have to do is you just attach this now to the front part of your corset, and then you attach this also. So if you find this video illustration helpful, I would appreciate if you would hit on the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Stylish Naija YouTube channel if you have not done so, and then you can also follow me on social media, various platforms. You can follow me on Facebook at Stylish Naija, that's our Facebook page, and then the sewing group is Stylish Naija Sewing Group, and then on Instagram is Stylish Naija, on Twitter is Stylish Naija. So I'll see you in my next video. So thank you so much. I like the outcome of this. It came out beautifully well. So thank you so much, and bye.